I made an argument on a petition for a writ of quo warranto that I first submitted to the Supreme Court of Texas. And when I submitted it, among the things I discussed were the use of relational databases and how the use of relational databases can be involved with the dispossession of people's personal private property and another manner in which to potentially implicate people in crime or effectuate a process whereby they can be enticed or extorted into cooperating with crime. It's part of the argument that needs to be made and prosecuted concerning the long term implications of illicit patterns of distribution, including in processes that are attempting to habituate people to patterns of behavior in regards to acquisition of resources. It's one of the primary reasons why the executive order concerning behavioral sciences insights to better serve the American people under former President Barack Obama should have been challenged for its constitutionality and is supporting evidence in my claim that the Affordable Care Act was a contract to commit to a criminal conspiracy. Among the other things I mentioned in that attempt at a petition of quo warranto is an understanding of the implications of how legal filings also identify a form of human capital that can be made available for inventorying and has itself a certain kind of currency that was in fact argued, I claimed, in the Trump versus or Hawaii versus Trump presented to the Supreme Court in consideration of another executive order, this time under Donald Trump, regarding a ban on certain countries. The first ban was issued against people coming from countries that were primarily identified as Muslim. It was then later modified to include two other countries. I contend that that executive order was actually about more. And that's where jurisdiction comes under consideration, including and especially an attempt to simulate a military legal process. If you're going to do something in REM, there are implications, especially if you think nowadays that you're going to try to avail yourself of some special carbon credit, right? Now, I had composed a document and I put it online as part of a blog. I put this blog up in the beginning of 2019. I did not know at the time that there had been a commission with the Department of Treasury that was more than 30 years old that expired in the beginning of 2019. I started this blog almost immediately after the expiration of that commission. You know what that tells me? Somebody in finance took my reports, took my life, including articles I had previously written and published at One Awards, and used them as underwriting and in conjunction with the development of financial portfolios that were aimed at getting other people elected to political office and insured against prosecution for their cooperation with organized criminal activity. They abused their office still further when they tried to frame me or extort me into cooperating with other kinds of illegal activity so that they could justify using me in derivative processes that are not only unconstitutional, but are very shortly going to be exposed for being globally destabilizing. In this time frame when I did this blog, I did it with an understanding that if you were going to deny me any access to due process, then part of what I needed to do was find a way to secure my own reportage. Too many other people were trying to take things that I had done and use it for all sorts of things in the financial realm. It really had no place being in. There's no reason to take a whistleblower report concerning bearing witness to how members of the military and former members of the military and their families were being extorted into cooperating with organized criminal activity under the auspices of receiving health care. And then using those extortion efforts and efforts to defraud the Department of Defense and federal appropriations associated with the Department of Defense. There is absolutely nothing legitimate about using that in the financial sector when it comes to any sort of other investment paradigm. There's nothing legitimate about torturing political dissenters and then trying to get some sort of confidentiality agreement or gag order so that then you can parse it out as some sort of intangible property contribution on a patent somebody else buys, so that then periodically they could try to call your ass in to either a jail cell or a hospital room so that they can claim some royalties and set up new derivative agreements. There's nothing legitimate about that. But there are certain people in the financial sector who have made it their specialty. And I am pretty certain that some of those people that have that proprietary trading license do sorts of things like that and claim it's their proprietary trading model. Well, you don't understand. This is our special model. This is our proprietary trading model. We work with these kinds of people and these demographics, and they have certain expectations, and there's a certain level of asset we need to be able to draw on. The extreme stressors experienced by this group of people actually provides a great investment opportunity for these other groups of people. I knew this in the beginning of 2019, so did that Treasury Commission. It should never have been disbanded. It should have been made available to be prosecuted. They should have taken the information they had been compiling in that Treasury Commission, and they should have made sure it got to the appropriate prosecutorial authorities, and we should be in a series of hearings for impeachment as well as criminal proceedings right now. What happened to that information? See, because I contend that if you allowed for that commission to be shut down and sat on for a while, so it could be redistributed as part of COVID relief to all the people that working so hard and are such heroes when it comes to COVID-19, then what you've done is you've given further evidence. And it just means that when we actually get to the prosecution, it's going to be that much more rapid, and it's going to be that much more comprehensive and effective. You've eliminated your defense. You liquidated your own immunity. And I take certain things personally. Because if one of you and or one of your lawyers was representing my cause, you know what you would do? You would make a human inventory of these people right here. You would make a human inventory. You want to be compensated for losing this demographic? You want to be compensated for no longer having this asset available in your specific network? Because what? I tried to claim it in consideration of criminal charges, prosecuting a criminal drug or a criminal drug enterprise? Are you disappointed? Were you trying this whole time to assert your claim over their property, over and above their own claim to their own lives? How about you pay them? I know you did. I know you got in contact with certain of these people and you offered them something to keep quiet and support you. How much did you give them? Let me ask you, how many of them or their family members had COVID-19? How many of them died? How many of them got to live through it but are going to have to come in periodically as a test or a recalibration associated with the treatment they got when they were diagnosed? See, if I were to create an indictment and I was to list them as the aggrieved, what would I charge you with? Would I charge you with murder? Would I charge you with trafficking? Would I charge you with wire fraud? Would I charge you with money laundering? Would I charge you with terrorism? Would I charge you with kidnapping? Yes, I would. For every single one of them. And then some. How many of them did you try to extort into agreeing to co-conspire with you in accordance with these crimes? How many of them had family members from other countries that you tried to extort them with, making this an international incident? How many of them ended up having to leave Illinois or Texas as part of this extortion? So it's actually interstate. How many of them ended up getting their information fielded out as part of somebody's election campaign in 2018 or 2020? And how many of them agreed to cover up what happened in 2016 or 2012? Or 2008. It's a long time to accrue. See, the one bitch down you got off of me turned into how many people? How many people? You want me to count? Do the numbers mean something? How many people I put in here? Not just women. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 26. At least 26. I had to watch you traffic and torture at least 26 people right in front of my face. That's 26 people I could have given an affidavit to If nothing else, as an expert witness. That's 26 people I would have mounted a case to prosecute. 26 people I actually knew. 26 people that could be in my community right now, prosperous, owning their own homes, not beholden to extortion and strong arming by opportunists, have no fucking idea what we went through and were subjected to in order to cover up for the means by which they were trying to use us in proxy theater simulations connected to what nobody wants to talk about, which is testing of depleted uranium weapons in other parts of the fucking world. Nobody wants to talk about how Obama launched an actual fucking nuclear attack in order to set up his child crypto bank empire. I'm sorry. Was I supposed to be more diplomatic? Was I supposed to be more formal in the charges? I'm investigating fraud involving the Health and Human Services, and I'm concerned that application of Executive Order 13707 concerning using behavioral insights to better serve the American people is potentially in violation of the Nuremberg Code and other codes of ethics associated with appropriate administration of healthcare, and that it's being used in commission of acts of fraud that are also responsible for trafficking people through the Health and Human Services. Every single one of you that would be indicted as the first line of defense for those criminals that are using you as human shields heard me say that to you.